will continue. All right, as many of you know, the PF faction leader, Miles Sampa, and for you to understand the PF are like an onion. You literally have to peel back several layers just to identify each layer. As things stand right now, PF has 3 different factions, 3 different leaders, self-proclaimed leaders. There's Edgar Lungu, who heads the NPF, which is the notorious Patriotic Front. There's Miles Sampa, who leads and heads the new PF under his leadership. And then, of course, there's Chabinga, who, by his own admission, says that he leads a 3rd faction within the PF. So it's very difficult to keep up with the PF and to sort of ascertain what their position is and where they are. But be that as it may, earlier today, which was about 30 minutes, 20 minutes ago, Miles Sampa held a press conference at his Leopards Hill residence there opposite the cemetery, and which is befitting. And there are a couple of things that I want to sort of highlight. I'm not going to talk about everything he talked about. That would be exhausting. But I do want to highlight, just make 2 or 3 points that I picked out that I think we should address. The very first thing that I noticed about the press conference is, you know, when you come across as banterful, you know what, not bountiful, banterful. You know what banter is? When you sort of give off the vibe that you are banterful and muleangala, the audience doesn't take you seriously. At one point during the press conference, Miles was talking about, you know, we've gone through a stage where some mealy meal has been, you know, sort of contaminated, and that's been widely reported. But Miles brought a woman, and he used a woman. And I think this is one of the saddest things about Zambian politics, is that we use our women to convey a message that is drenched in deception. I mean, Miles turns to this woman and he says, "Oh, poison." The implication there is that somehow this administration, and this is the narrative that Rafael Haijaka Nakachinda is trying to peddle, which is not going to gain any traction because the Zambian people don't believe Rafael Haijaka Nakachinda's narration. But Miles Sampa is trying to lend his voice and sort of imply that the administration is deliberately trying to poison the Zambian public by infecting the mealie meal. And he turns and he introduces a woman and says, "It's like this lady here. And then she proceeds to stand up. He hands her the mic. He gives her the mic, and everybody that knows anything about public speaking, whenever you give up the mic, you are endorsing whatever that person's going to say. When you give up the mic, you're actually saying, "Here, lady, go ahead and say what you need to say." And so, you know, she got on there and she started saying, "Awachachine, mumala, ifituredia, wadi ubuturedia, obuna tulwala mumala, tuafwa mule nyonga, mumala mule nyonga, mule chitefi." Why? Wadi ubutuledi obwadi. Wadi ubuteko bulepera ifu obwadi turwale. Irresponsible. Total irresponsibility. You cannot, as a leader, peddle such a lie, because you know it's a lie. Which administration? Because even in Balungu, there's no way you can lead me to believe that Balungu would deliberately poison people for the sake of what? For what purpose? So it is irresponsible. It is disingenuous. It's preposterous to suggest or to imply that this administration is somehow deliberately poisoning Milimil in order to infect the populace. That is irresponsible politics. That is why Mikakila, you are trying to alarm the nation in order to get a rise from the people, because that is what you always wanted. You so-called opposition politicians, what you want is an uprising. That is not the way you do it. Convince your would-be voters that you are a better alternative. Just convince them by offering better. That's all. Don't fabricate such broad-stroked lies. And then you are the same people who turn around and say, no, wale tukaka. Miles Sampa used a word during his press conference that I want to highlight, and I want to tell you that is false. When Miles Sampa says the police are arbitrarily arresting people, do you know what it means to arbitrarily do something? Tell me in the comments. Tell me the definition of the word arbitrary. Miles Sampa said they are arbitrarily arresting people. Do you even know what you're saying? What are you talking about? Arbitrarily. Arbitrarily means you are arresting people for no reason. For no reason. You just wake up and say, oh, we are the apoyo mukakeni. That's not true. When you commit a crime, you face the consequences of that choice. Unfortunately, because we have politicized the atmosphere, the Zambian atmosphere is so polluted with politics, so much so that even when you commit a crime, because you are an opposition political leader, you shroud it, you cover it, you camouflage it and say, I'm being politically persecuted. But you kuna wiba, now wipaya, you've battered, you've stolen, you've created, just because you are an opposition political leader. What you are suggesting, you opposition politicians, listen to me carefully. What you are suggesting is you should be allowed to break the law with impunity, and you should not face the consequences simply because you are an opposition leader. That, my brothers and sisters, boys and girls, is nonsense. Total, unequivocal, unadulterated nonsense. Don't peddle such foolishness. There's a country to run. There's a people to lead. There's a trajectory that we have to be on. There's an economy to recover. Don't talk foolishness. Don't talk nonsense and camouflage it and quote it in the opposition politics. Don't. You are wasting Zambians' time. That's what you're doing. The second thing that I noticed was Miles used the word reconciliation, and this is another very Zambian thing. I tell you, it irritates me to no end. Zambian politicians are the most dull people in the planet when it comes to this word, reconciliation. Zambian politicians use the word reconciliation as a crutch. You know, crutch, not clutch. Yeah, motoka idea yo. Idani clutch. A crutch. When you break your leg and you go to the hospital, okay, and then they put what do you call that thing? Tute muchisungu njebeni mu comment mu ngababika tute wakontola okulu bakufuika tute kulya kuchipatala kulya. When you break your leg and you go to the hospital and then they put the what do they call that, the thing muchisungu? I don't know, tell me in the comments. What is that? What do you call that? What do you call that before I proceed? POP, there you go. But I don't know what POP stands for. When you when you want to walk around, they give you what's known as a crutch with an R, not an L. Idia crutch. It aids you when walking. It helps you walk. Zambian politicians use the word reconciliation as a crutch. Any opportunity. No, reconcile. Reconcile. What do you even mean? You don't even know what the word means. What is reconciliation? The issue here between Walungu and HH is not reconciliation. It is partisan politics. That is what it is. Don't oversimplify it by labeling it as, no, they have to reconcile. As if you are talking to a couple that is disagreeing. As if you are talking to a family member, two family members that have differed, and the one has gone left, the other one has gone right, and then you're saying, no, let us come together, let us reconcile. Politics is not about reconciliation. It's what we're dealing with in this country is partisan politics. You must recognize that. Do not oversimplify it by labeling it as, no, just reconcile. When we used to have that, what was it called? Tell me in the comments. That prayer and fasting and what was it called? That thing, I forget. Tell me now in the comments. That once a year we used to go for that. It was called the prayer, fasting, and reconciliation something. That was being used. Just fooling around. Mwaya kudya, mwapepa, mwalanda tiyo reconciliation. 2 weeks after that, bambensele, bambokulwa, bambokwipayana. Futi the next year, the following year, nga idenshitanga ya isaidia, Christians for Lungu, and they were anything but Christians. They were everything except Christians. There was nothing Christendom about anything that they did. Every year, national prayer, national day of prayer. This year, you go there, your reconciliation, 2 days later, insele, ukulwa, kutukana. So the issue you must understand, do not oversimplify the word reconciliation. We are not talking about reconciling Walungu na HH. That's not the issue. The issue is partisan politics. That's what it is. So don't start fooling around and talk, reconciliation. Let us reconcile, because if we don't reconcile, na bola tatwa wine. What nonsense is that? Huh? In Zambia, we play too much. Be real. Real politics. Not this patcake baker man that you play every day and you're fooling around here and you think you can get results. You can't get results with that type of behavior. You can't. All right. I thought I'd mention that to you. All right. Have a good lunch. Bye.